Today, Unit 7, Lesson 7, Double Number Lines. Our learning target, I can use a double number line diagram to find equivalent ratios. A double meaning two, so we are going to have two number lines at the same time. Before we do that, let's take a quick wander backwards to the lesson where I had the videos of making Kool-Aid. A couple of weeks ago, I made Kool-Aid by mixing 4 teaspoons of powdered drink mix for every cup of water. So just a very quick refresher, these small squares on the top represented the teaspoonfuls of the Kool-Aid mix. Remember, it was red. So I put 4 spoons into 1 cup of water. I also did one where I had 1 spoon and then added 3 more spoons. So I had 2 cups of Kool-Aid that tasted the same, right? And I could keep on doing that pattern as long as I add 4 spoons and 1 cup of water. I will always make Kool-Aid that tastes the same. Using this ratio diagram, how can we tell that 4 to 1 and 12 to 3 are equivalent ratios? What is our clue in the picture below? We talked about the word equivalent meaning the same. It's not that it's exactly the same amount of powder. It's not that it's exactly the same amount of water. What's the same in this problem was that they all tasted the same. So what's our clue that they're all going to taste the same? Our clue is that the pattern continues over and over and over and over and over. In the first one, we have 4 spoons to 1 cup of water. In the second one, we have 4 spoons to 1 cup of water. In the third one, we have 4 spoons to 1 cup of water. Because the pattern continues, it repeats, we can say that 1 small cup of 4 to 1 would taste exactly the same as putting all 3 cups into 1 big cup and saying, I want 12 spoonfuls of Kool-Aid mix. That's a lot of Kool-Aid. But it's not just a lot of Kool-Aid, it's also a lot of water. We're adding 3 big cups of water. It tastes the same. This time I've made 3 times as much, but it tastes the same. So what is our clue? It's that we have a repeating pattern. It's always 4 spoons to 1 cup, 4 spoons to 1 cup, 4 spoons to 1 cup. But at the end, I have 12 spoons to 3 cups. The clue is that the picture repeats over and over and over. It's exactly the same. All right. This is a double number line. It's a double number line because there's 1 number line on the top and there's 1 number line on the bottom. So that's the double. It also shows that 4 to 1 and 12 to 3 are equivalent. Let's look at where that is. Here's 4 to 1. Notice that the 4 and the 1 are directly above and below each other. It shows that 12 to 3 is equivalent to 4 to 1 because they're still directly above each other. I also want you to notice what's at the very beginning. It starts with 0, 0. 0 teaspoons of drink mix and 0 cups of water. Double number lines always start at 0, 0. They have to start at 0, 0. Otherwise, they don't work. How are these representations the same? In a moment, I'm going to ask you to answer one way that it's the same. So when I say the representations, I mean the ratio diagram on the top. How is that the same as the double number line on the bottom? One way that I see the same thing is that in one of these little boxes, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 teaspoons of drink mix, and there's 1 cup of water. If I go over 1 tick mark, On the double number lines, I see 4 teaspoons. Let me zoom in here. I see 4 teaspoons of drink mix, and underneath that, 1 cup of water. So they take the same space on the double number line. They're in the same box. Another thing that I see is the same, going backwards maybe a little bit. I see on the top here, I have drink mix teaspoons, right? That was on the top in the ratio diagram. Water in cups on the bottom, water in cups on the bottom. You might have noticed something else that was the same. All right, well then, how are these representations different? How is the ratio diagram, how is that different than the double number lines? Okay, well, one big difference that I see is that the number lines include numbers. It also includes lines with arrows on the end. Straight line and an arrow. Straight line and an arrow. Okay. I don't see any lines or arrows up top here in the diagram. Instead, I was going to grab a different color there. In the diagram, all right, there's no numbers, there's no lines, all right. There's shapes and a repeating pattern. You might have noticed something else that's different. All right, let's explore a little more with double number lines. The question says, how many teaspoons of drink mix should be used with 2 cups of water? When I use the ratio diagram, I need to find 2 cups of water. Here they are, 1, 2, which means I don't need this last one at all. So to find my answer, I need to see how many little squares there are. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the answer should be 8. Let's see where that is on the double number line. How many teaspoons of drink mix should be used with 2 cups of water? I'm going to look on the bottom because that's where my water is, and I'm going to find the number 2. I'm going to highlight straight up to find my answer, 8. And if I look over, that's the teaspoons of drink mix. That 8 right there that I circled in red is the answer that we had up here on top. It matches. So you could draw a ratio diagram, or you could draw double number lines to solve this. Let's try another problem. How many cups of water should be used with 16 teaspoons of mix? Let's start with the ratio diagram. I need 16 teaspoons of mix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I need 16 teaspoons of mix. So here we go. 13, 14, 15, 16. If I add 4 little red teaspoons, then I need another cup of water, right? Put a little square around it. All right. So now to answer the cups of water, it's 1, 2, 3, it's 4 cups of water. Using the double number lines, I need to find 16 teaspoons of mix. So that's on the top line. Circle the 16. So to find my answer, I'm going to go right below, 4. 4, and go over, 4 cups of water. That's the same as our ratio diagram, and it's the same as what I wrote up above the words. All right. What about this question? What number should go in the empty boxes? So let's just look at the top line for drink mix teaspoons. I notice that the number on top starts with 0. And then it jumps, let's grab red, it jumps to 4. I know that if I add 4 to 0, I'll make 4. And if I add another 4, I'll get to 8. And if I add another 4, I'll get to 12. And if I add another 4, I'll get to 16. So where did this plus 4 come from? It came from one box in our ratio diagram. There are 4 little squares that represent the 4 teaspoons of Kool-Aid mix. Every time I add another picture, so here's the second one here, circle it in orange. Every time I add another picture, I have to add 4 teaspoons of Kool-Aid mix. That's a +4 pattern. That's where this +4 comes from. So if I want to find the next number, I have to add 4 more. 16 plus 4, I could use my fingers if I wanted to. 17, 18, 19, it's 20. The number 20 goes here. But I also want to know what it represents. That 20 here on the end, let's grab a completely different color here. This 20 here on the end goes back to the very beginning and the words on the top. That's how many teaspoons of drink mix you need. You need 20 spoonfuls of mix. But if I'm going to use 20 spoonfuls of mix, I need to look right below that to the number that goes here. And this one's a little bit easier. If I look at the water cups, think back to the ratio diagram. Every time I had 4 small squares, I had 1 big square. So every time I drew that, I kept adding 1 big square, which represented 1 cup of water. So this is a +1 pattern. So if I keep plussing 1, I should have 5 cups of water. Again, that 5 specifically represents the water cups because it's on the bottom line. 5 cups of water for 20 teaspoons of mix. Okay, so I really like having double number lines because there's a lot less to draw. But what you have to be careful about is that you line things up. They have to be right on top of each other. You can't draw lines that are diagonal. They have to be completely vertical lines. So what about building a double number line? What if a double number line isn't just there for you? If you have to build a double number line, you have to look for that repeating pattern. So this is Elena's recipe for light blue paint. I can see 1, 2 cups of white paint, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of blue paint. So this ratio is 2 to 6. But I could break this picture into repeating smaller groups. Now I have 2 groups. In each group is 1 cup of white paint to 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of blue. 1 cup of white paint on the right to, let me grab a different color here, 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of blue. So you can see smaller repeating patterns. I'm going to use this repeating pattern here on the left. It doesn't really matter if I use the one on the left or the right because they're the same to build my double number line. Here we go. White paint for my diagram was on the top. White paint on the top. So I'm going to put white paint on top for my tape diagram. It just helps me make sense of the work, right? So instead of counting by 2s, because yes, there are 2 white paint cups up there. Remember how we divided the picture into equal groups, 2 equal groups? So in each group, there's 1 white paint. So I'm going to count by 1 on the top. It's a +1 pattern because if I drew another box on top, I would put in 1 big box for white paint. That's why it's +1 on the top. +1. All right. For the blue teaspoons, the blue paint, sorry, that's tablespoons. I need to look in just this one box and say, how many blue are there? There's 1, 2, 3. In the next box, there's 3 more. 1, 2, 3. If I'm going to add the blue for the last box, I need to add 1, 2, 3. So this is a +3 pattern on the bottom. So 0 plus 3 is 3. Plus 3 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. 12. I'm going to just keep adding 3 over and over and over. Here is my double number line diagram. Again, notice that 1 and 3 are right on top of each other. 1 white paint for every 3 blue. All right, so now that we've built our double number line, I'm going to use it to answer these questions. How many cups of white paint should Elena mix with 12 tablespoons of blue paint? You answer the question, and then I'll do it. All right, let's see how you did. We're looking for 12 tablespoons of blue paint. Well, the blue paint's on the bottom. Here's the 12. So if I want to find the answer, I need to go directly above. Here it is. It's 4. It's kind of hard to see there. 4 cups of white paint. Our answer is 4. Right? How many batches does it make? This is a good question, and this one's a little bit trickier. It feels like the answer should be 4, but I don't think it is. Remember, if we go back to the original problem, this is her recipe for light blue paint. She needed 2 cups of white and 6 tablespoons of blue paint to make 1 batch, to make enough paint, right? If she used less white and less blue, she might not have enough. So here's how much she mixed. When we say batch, we mean when she mixes it, how much. So she needs 2 white and 6 blue. So if I'm looking for the batches hiding in here, here is 2 white and 6 blue. Here's the first time she made it. Get rid of this. The second time she mixes paint is right here. So it makes 2 batches because each batch needed 2 cups of white paint, not 1. All right, that's a little bit tricky. Let's try one more. How many tablespoons of blue paint should be mixed with 6 cups of white paint? All right, so this time I'm going to find 6 cups of white. Here it is on the end. I'm going to look down below. It's 18. Wow, that's a lot of tablespoons of blue paint. So she needs 18 tablespoons of blue paint. But for the batches, remember the batches means groups of 2 cups of white paint. Here it is. Here's the first batch. The first time she mixes it. Here's the second time. Here's the third time. So it makes 3 batches of paint. Okay. One last one before I send you over to Desmos. Find another amount of white and blue paint that will make the same shade of light blue paint. And how do you know that it will make the same shade? All right, another option is 3 cups of white, 9 cups of blue. I know that it makes the same shade because they are stacked. They are vertical. They are right on top of each other. Here's another option, 4 cups of white and 12 cups of blue. Here's another one, 5 cups of white, 15 tablespoons of blue. Right? 0, 0 doesn't work because if you don't have any white paint and you don't have any blue paint, you don't have any paint at all. Right? But every other place where the numbers are stacked is an option for what will make the same shade. All right, today's Desmos activity is called Nana's Chocolate Milk. You are going to help somebody's Nana make the exact right recipe for chocolate milk, and you'll see double number lines there. As always, stop by the help desk if you have any questions.